and I hope you have a good weekend.
I hope you do the same. Have a great show.
Thanks. Thank you. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, February the 5th, 2021. And I would give you the call-in number. However, Michael has gotten into a conference call, and it is still going on. So he has asked me if I would just play a show because it doesn't look like he's going to get off in time. So I chose to replay one with a little girl named Rory, and she does a worksheet, and it's a phenomenal show. So I hope you enjoy. Blessings. I am. And we've got an exciting second half, so everybody stay around. We have a young lady who's just in the 5th grade, and she has taken forgiveness work to everybody in her circle, and she's going to call in and do a worksheet today. So stay tuned for the second half. Michael is with us. Welcome, Michael.
All right,
Michael,
I'd best hang up so he can come on.
Oh, okay. Michael, are you there?
Oh, excuse me. I was mute challenged. I'm on things. Okay. And
all right.
It's nice to hear our littlest co-host is there.
Yeah, she's back here. Yeah. And Rory, if you're already on the phone, if you would press 1 on your phone, that will put you up into the top of the queue so that we know that you're on. And so, Michael, if you want to do an introduction about her until she gets on the phone.
Are you with us, Rory?
A hand has not gone up yet. I'm looking up her phone number so I know whether she's on or not.
You explain who Rory is, sweetie?
All I did was say that we had someone in the 5th grade who was taking the forgiveness work to everyone in her circle, and that she was going to call in and do a wake-up sheet. I do not see a 616 area code, and that is the phone number that I have for them, so she's probably not on quite yet. And I don't know if she's on spring break and at home, or if she's having to wait till a certain time to get between class, or I'm not sure. I just got an email from her mom this morning saying that she was going to call in and do the show. So
maybe send her mom a quick text and see what her time frame looks
like. Okay, I'll do it. So if you want to do an introduction while I'm doing that.
In the meantime, welcome everybody. Delighted that you're here, and honored to have this opportunity to get to play with you with these tools that bring forward this first century Aramaic process of forgiveness in the most amazing way. I'm up here visiting with friend Dr. Eleni Masharet. We did a Y workshop on Sunday, and there's a young man here who is former Russian military and converted and worked for the U.S. military, going through a lot of challenges, a lot of PTSD and such. And so we had a conversation about the work yesterday. I was just so delighted and amazed to see this young man, I don't know, he might be 30, carrying this load of trauma. And I mean, literally, when he spoke of, well, there's a particular person, I have this big I have a lot of pain, they caused me a lot of pain. I said, well, you'll notice that the pain's inside of you and that this is your opportunity to heal. And his reply instantly was, oh, okay, I see. So she's trying to help me heal. It's like, whoa, this gentleman has got it on target. Just the comprehension was just amazing. And so I understand that Rory is with us. Is that true? Are you there, Rory?
Yes, hello. Hi.
Well, hey there, young lady.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Can you get a little closer to the microphone? Your voice isn't very loud.
Okay.
All right, that sounds better, and we'd like to introduce you. This is Rory, and Rory is in grade 5, and several months ago she wrote me a letter, a couple of months ago, asking about mentoring with forgiveness, and that her purpose was to bring forgiveness, pardon the pun, Rory, roaring into the world, and to bring peace and the activity of love into people's lives. So that's pretty cool. And we have a special song to play for you, Rory, if you'd just give a listen.
Okay.
So we're delighted to have your voice with us, Rory, and we're glad you're here. And, of course, the thing that cued me into that Helen Reddy song is that she talks about how this woman's going to stand up and roar, and here's Rory getting ready to roar into the world with forgiveness. And so we're honored to support you and do anything we can to move your work and your purpose forward in the world. And it's just awesome that you're taking it to your grade 5 classroom and willing to learn enough about the forgiveness process to present it to and teach it to them. It's just awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right.
much.
You are so welcome.
So, what are we going to be doing here?
Well, tell me what your questions are. Tell me where you want to go. I'll leave it to you to direct what you'd like to ask and what you'd like to see unfold.
Okay, so my mom told me that you'd be like walking me through a worksheet. Could we do that?
Absolutely, yes. I have the Level 4 worksheet from the book Healing Children, Loving Children open on my phone to work with you on it. Do you have any comments about your understanding of the forgiveness processes yet, or any specific questions before we actually start into a worksheet?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, if you've got a copy of that wake-up sheet that was created by Julie Haverstick in her book Healing Children, Loving Children, for anybody who's not familiar with that, Julie is the woman that's doing the Pay It Forward program at Heartland right now, and she created a series of 7 different worksheets for working with younger people. And so this is worksheet number 4, Work It Out sheet number 4, and it's designed for the intermediate reader. And so have you got a specific worksheet, a specific thing that you'd like to work on, Rory?
Yeah, I think so. On Monday, I was going to go to the library, and I got an email in my junk email from like a month ago, saying that the library owed me money for these overdue books, and it was sent like a month ago, and I was really mad because I did not put that email in my junk, and it just ended up there because my email thought it was a spam, and so I got really mad about that.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at one of the first ideas to do with this forgiveness process, and there's a particular word that is denial that we have a special definition for in this work. And denial is what I do when I either think or speak as though something outside of me is causing something to happen inside of me. So when you say, the fact that this ended up in my spam and I didn't notice it and it made me mad, we would define that as denial. And what happens when you deny something that's going on inside of you, so, there's mad going on inside of you, but when you pin it or you hook it to something outside of you, then the tendency is to hide it deeply from yourself, which makes it hard to heal that mad part of your mind. And so the idea of forgiveness is to bring that hidden part of the mind forward so that we can bring it to the presence of love and dissolve it. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense.
Okay. So then there's a workshop we do called responsibility communication. And responsibility communication would say that, okay, so if this happens and anger comes up in me, then my language that would help me to see the hidden part of my mind is, wow, when I found that in spam and found out that I owed the library money and it was a month ago, that brought a lot of anger up in me. And when I say that, just the fact that I use my words that way, I give my mind permission to start to show me the hidden part of my mind that's based in anger. And when I can see it, I can heal it. As long as I can't see it, I can't heal it. So let's go ahead and do the worksheet on that. And anybody who wants to tap in, Jeanie, is there an easy way for people to tap into the Work It Out sheet number 4?
Well, if they click on the bullseye on their website, whyagain.org, that takes them to, I'm clicking over here at the same time, so I'm telling them the right button. So if you go to whyagain.org, click on the bullseye in the middle of the page, and then go down to where it says stress, reality management, wake-up sheets. And that's where, like, the 7-step and all those are. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see Julie Haverstick's Healing Children, Loving Children, and go down to Work It Out sheet number 4. And actually, I'm putting a link into the notes for the show, and then I'll go ahead and save it. So if you wanted to open up the archives to the show, it'll be there in just about 1 minute, too.
Cool. Okay. So then step number 1 with Work It Out sheet number 4 is to acknowledge that what I think in my head is what makes up my reality. So I think I'm looking at something outside of me, but really when I'm mad, I'm looking at something that's moving inside of me. And so that's the first step. So when you're presenting this in the classroom, you want to just let the kids know, okay, so, you'll notice that something happened in the room and somebody was mad and somebody was sad and somebody was afraid and somebody was in tears and somebody wanted to run out of the room. Everybody's got a different reality. There was one thing that happened, and that's actuality, but then everybody's got a reality. So step 1 is just admitting that I'm bringing my reality of anger to this situation. And then step 2, I seem to be upset because this person, in this case it would be the library email, and so you'd fill in that first blank with my email in spam from the library, or whatever way you say that.
Yeah, like my email thought that an email from the library was a spam, and I didn't see it until the other day.
Okay. And then, so that's what you'd write in the what happened space. And step number 2, and make sure that as you do that, you breathe, because when we start to look at things that bring up pain that we want to hide from ourselves, the tendency is to hold the breath. So when I breathe, I let full energy flow move through my body, and I have deeper access to everything going on in my mind. Okay. Then step 3, I want to write down what I'm feeling, and you already shared with us it's mad. Are there any other feelings that go with that?
Also kind of fear, just like how much money do I owe them? Ah.
Okay. So mad and fear. And actually, we would suggest that you do one wake-up sheet or work it out sheet on being mad, and then do a different one on fear, because they're going to be, they're different worksheets. When you look at mad in a situation like that, mad has, is triggered by a goal for that email to have come into my hands in a timely way, where fear has to do with, how much money do I owe? Am I going to have enough? So it's a different goal and therefore a different worksheet. And each time that you do worksheets, if you identify 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 feelings, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 different wake-up sheets or work-it-out sheets. And then you might draw. So let's work on the mad one for now and leave the fear one alone for the moment. And so you might draw what mad looks like to you in that little box to the right of number 3, I feel. And then, what's that look like? It might be a lightning bolt or, whatever it is for you.
I always draw like one of those like red hot mad emojis. Like,
Okay. Grr, there you go. Jeanie's favorite one is arg. She sounds like a pirate when she does it. Okay, so then number 4, I want to feel better. And write or draw your feelings. So you've written them down and you've drawn them there. And then the acknowledgement of, I want to feel it. There's a neat thought in the Course in Miracles where the Course says, I'm feeling something other than love. And what I really want to do is feel love. Wouldn't it be a good thing if I were in error here and I can just return to love? And so the idea here is to recognize that any time there's any kind of anger or fear, that anger or fear is always something that's generated by the mind, and it covers up or hides what's really possible in a situation from us when we allow that to control us. So number 5, I'm upset because I'm thinking I want things to be my way. I feel that I'm right. And then once again, acknowledgement, this upset is my reality. Okay? And then in number 6, what you do is you look at the goal that's behind this reality, this perception. There's some Harvard research that says that in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells are firing, it's like, they're measuring electrical activity in the brain, and they measure the firing of 10,000 brain cells. And what they tell us is that the maximum number of those brain cells firing that can get information into conscious awareness is 9 bits. Just 9 tiny bits out of 10,000 firing is what my reality is made of. So I'm looking at just a small fragment of what's going on inside of me and outside of me when I'm looking at things through this, we'll call it the 9-bit mind. And if there are 10,000 brain cells firing and I'm only seeing 9 bits, the question then becomes, well, what determines which 9 bits of data I get to see? What selects that for me? And here's the whole key and secret to forgiveness. My perceptual realities, the constructs in my mind, are always driven by goals. It's like, if you, let's say you want to play basketball. Let's say you're really good at basketball, and when you go to college, you think you should be able to get a scholarship. And so one of the things that you'd want to do is you'd want to play in a game where there are going to be recruiters in the crowd. And, there might be 100 athletes on the field, and you want to stand out for that recruiter because you want that recruiter to recruit you. You want that recruiter to pick you and say, come on, I'm going to give you a scholarship to go to college. Well, a goal is just like that. It's the recruiter. Out of 10,000 brain cells firing, 100 athletes on the field, the goal recruits the data or selects the data that's going to build my reality. And in this case, the goal, whatever it is, and we want to identify that goal, the goal is recruiting data based in anger. So if you look at this situation where there's anger, and it seems to be about this email getting lost in your spam, what's the goal there? What goal do you hold in that situation?
owe the library any money, that like it and like the email would have not thought that it was a spam, so I wouldn't owe the library money.
Okay. Well, now this is what we call a Hydra worksheet. That's what you just pointed out. And what that means, in Greek mythology, there's a creature called the Hydra. And, you know, in the mythology, when they would fight and they'd cut off her head, you know, her head would fall off, but then there'd be 10 other heads that would raise up out of her neck. And there'd be more, you know, heads to fight. So we call that the Hydra worksheet. So the goal that's causing or recruiting the anger in this at this point would be probably more the goal for the email to have been in your inbox and notified you promptly about what was going on. It would be a different goal and therefore a different worksheet for you to be square with the library. And when you say, I don't want to owe the library money, you know, one of the things is that when we create our lives out of what we don't want, we end up creating what we don't want. So you always want to look at the constructive aspect of the goal, and the constructive aspect of that goal is, well, I just want to be square with the library. And, or maybe I want to keep what I've got of my allowance left in my own pocket and use it the way I want to. So that would be a separate worksheet. So when I do worksheets, I always have a stack of at least a dozen blanks. And when I open up a Hydra, when I'm doing a worksheet, let's say I was doing this worksheet, and it's like, so my goal here is that the email would have been in my inbox and I'd have known it was there a month ago. And I see that, you know, what I really want behind that is I want to be square with the library. Then I'd go to the second worksheet, and in the place where I fill in the goal, I'd fill in the goal, I want to be square with the library. And that would be the start of my next worksheet in that area. And then I'd go back to this primary one about how the email fell over into my spam box, and I didn't notice it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then what I really want, so write down what you want, the constructive result that you want in regard to the email, because it's the situation with the email. Yes, it involves the library, but the money owed to the library is a separate issue. Triggered the anger, this email being in your spam. So how would you write down what you really want, number 6, in regard to the spam?
What I really want is for my email to not think that the library is a spammer.
Okay. So once again, that's what you don't want. And this is something that, you know, the world kind of trains us to think in terms of what we don't want. But if you put that in constructive terms, what you really want, what would that be?
For my email to
You got it. Sort things properly?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I want my email to sort things properly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there might be another underlying issue that's involved there, and it might be, you know, and this might be another worksheet. I don't know, just guessing that this could be another potential worksheet, and that is that what I wanted was I wanted to have had enough awareness to have put the library on my whitelist so this would show up in my inbox. So that might turn into a worksheet about myself if I were doing this worksheet. Yeah. Just as a possible aside, because oftentimes these things are, they're tangled together. So that could be another worksheet to do too.
Yeah,
and that might tie into, why didn't I do it right, or I did something wrong, or, what might I get to forgive there or heal there.
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
So as you think about that goal for your email to sort things properly, what happens to your breath? if you just think about the first time you opened it and you found this in spam, and you're looking at this spam and, oh, this should have been in my inbox. I should have known about this a month ago. If you think about all of that, what happens with your breath?
I start to get, like, still really mad. But, like, thinking about it right now after thinking about, like, forgiving about it. Like, when I first saw it on Monday, I think,
right.
I was really mad. But, like, right now, I feel a bit better about it.
You're settled, okay. Well, one of the things to do at this step is to always watch what's happening with the breath, because for most people, when there's something in their minds that they have hidden from themselves, when that something starts to move, starts to come to awareness, they hold the breath to try to shut it down. And so just, when you're teaching this in the classroom, to just invite people everywhere that the word breathe is there in brackets, invite people to really pay attention to the breath. Because, when we hide things from ourselves, holding the breath is the mechanical way to stop information from moving inside of me, to hide things from myself. And so if I pay attention when my breath slows down or stops, and then I purposely, consciously choose to breathe, then I tend to be able to be in better touch with what's going on in that other, 9,991 bits of information, rather than just what's happening on the surface. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So, most feelings come into our energy field, into our bodies, as a result of thoughts and words. And so step 7 taps into that, and it invites us to start to let go of or remove the energy of these feelings using words. So I let go of my mad or my anger, and I let go of what I want for my email program to have categorized my emails properly. And the reason for the first part of it is to start to move the energy of anger out of your system. And then the second part, when I said the goal is the recruiter, the goal is what drives our perception, the reality that we see. And in Aramaic, it's interesting, the word forgive is the word shabag or shabak. And what it actually means is to cancel. And when I cancel the goal, which, it seems like a very reasonable goal that I would have my email, categorize my emails properly. That's a reasonable goal. Why would I cancel that? Do I have to get rid of that good goal? It's like, well, no, but it's not because there's anything wrong with the goal that I cancel the goal. It's because when I load that goal in my mind, for my email program to have categorized emails properly so I'd have this in a timely way, when I load that goal in my mind, that's what recruits the angry part of my mind. And so when I cancel the goal, I get rid of the recruiter, and the picture in the surface mind, the 9-bit mind, collapses. It sort of just falls in on itself. And so when I cancel a goal, I don't cancel the goal because I don't want it. I don't cancel the goal because I can't have it. I don't cancel the goal because there's something wrong with it. I cancel the goal because when I load it in my mind, it recruits a part of my mind that's unconscious, a part of my mind that's in some form of fear or hostility. And so when I cancel the goal, what happens is that which has been recruited. Let's imagine we've got the recruiter out on the basketball court, and they've recruited 20 students that they're going to invite to go into their, college program and have each one have a scholarship. And all of a sudden the recruiter says, Program's over. Everybody go home. That's kind of what happens when you cancel a call. The driver is removed from the mind, and the whole perception based in anger collapses in on itself. And when it collapses in on itself, I get to look at what's underneath it, what's under the surface. And so how about doing those two steps? I let go of my feelings of anger or mad, and I let go of the need for the email program to have sorted things properly so that I'd have access to the information in a timely way. That sounds like that would be a more complete goal, that it was about having access in a timely way.
Yeah.
So I'm just canceling that and let go of it. You might just say that out loud. I cancel my need for the email program to be sorted properly so that I have access to information in a timely way.
Yeah, I never check my junk email, and part of it is like my anger at myself. Like, why didn't I check that?
There you go. So that's your next worksheet. That's where if you've got a blank there, I'd go in and write that exactly. Oh, I'm mad at myself because I didn't take care of this. That's kind of the Hydra worksheet. So if you've got another blank worksheet there, I'd write that into the second worksheet, and then we'll go back to this one. And notice that you went from anger at the email and the information that was there to seeing that, oh, there's some anger at you and what you haven't done. So that's stepping into a deeper level of your own mind and seeing, so this anger really isn't about the email, it's really about me.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Good catch. That's the purpose of canceling a goal, to get to look at what's hiding at the next level in the mind. And so it sounds like there's some self-blame. So the next worksheet would be a worksheet on self-blame.
Yeah.
And, maybe the goal on that worksheet is, gee, if only I were perfect. And then you cancel your need to be perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So then number 8, on the next level, now when you start processing something like perfection, we know your mom, and I'm sure she's never had to do things perfectly, right? That's never been an issue for her, having to be perfect and do things right.
No.
So there's probably a good chance that there's a genetic component to this, that you've inherited it and then you've seen it play out in your environment. And so when you start tapping into something that maybe goes back many generations, and if you think of, you've just got this tiny space in conscious awareness called the 9-bit mind, how am I going to process, something that maybe is a generational issue that's gone on forever? You could maybe have a conversation with your mom and see if she ever watched her mom or dad having to be perfect. And you might find that it goes back a long way. So the next step, once I start to get the insight in my 9-bit mind, oh, this is about how I should have done it right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for help in processing these deeper hidden parts of the mind. In Aramaic, what was taught 2,000 years ago is that there was a power in us that was feminine. Most of the religions today speak of this power as masculine, but it's really a feminine energetic force or elemental force. And what it does when we're willing to invite it into activity is 2 things. 1, it will undo the effects of our errors. And 2, it will teach us the truth. So in 8B, I'm asking this power to go to work in me. I'm asking for help. Now in Aramaic, the name of that power is rukudukudsha. And so, I usually, when I do this step, and of course this comes more from the adult worksheet, but we can introduce it here because you got a pretty good level of comprehension. But I'm asking this power, rukudukudsha, to come in and help me in processing through the deeper layers of whatever this anger at myself is about. And this mad that comes up in me, maybe more often than I wish it would. So how about just, I cancel my goal, and then I'm going to ask this power for help, whatever words you use.
So,
and what happens as you do that?
I feel a lot better, and I just stopped imagining the worst case scenario.
All right.
I'm a very worst case scenario kind of person. It's like that's
beautiful.
Yeah, that's like where I go, and so for me to stop imagining the worst case scenario, that is really good.
What an awesome catch, girl. That's fabulous. Yeah, you know something? There's a conspiracy in the universe. Did you know that? And you know what the conspiracy is?
What is
the
it?
conspiracy is to support you having the highest and best life that's possible for you. That's what the whole universe is conspiring for you and for me and for everybody. But we're given free will, and we have the right to go, well, I think I'll let go of this highest and best possibility, and I think I'd rather go for the worst case scenario. And we can create worst case scenarios. We can play those things out. But that's not what the universe is about. The universe is really there for you with goodwill for you and the best life possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were created for. So that might be another wake-up sheet to do, or work it out sheet to do one on your mind doing worst-case scenario thinking. So
How many I would do now?
Well, I don't know. Maybe Magda is on the phone at this moment. She might be there, and she might put her hand up a little later in the show. But if you go into the archives, there's a special area. We've got shows that are kind of the ones we think are the most powerful. And in particular, we've got, I think, 17 or 18 different radio shows where we walk somebody through a whole worksheet. And the second one in that list, you'd probably find it funny to listen to. I think Magda finds it funny these days too. But if you go back, Magda called in and she had an issue happening with someone who was in her life, and it was about herself. And by the time we finished the hour working on that worksheet, she had 17 different worksheets to do. That's a real hydra. You've got 2 or 3, but she had 17 worksheets to do. So yeah, that would be another one that, heal this part of my mind that thinks in worst case scenarios and retrain my mind to think in terms of best case scenarios. What's the universe here to support me with? The universe is here to support me with whatever I want, but the overriding the energy of the universe is to support you in your highest and best, unless you have a different idea. And as you forgive that part of your mind and you let go of that worst case scenario game, you can just change the whole game. That's awesome. Nice catch, woman.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So now number 9. I'm a loving person, and I want to feel my love instead of my upset. So I'm making staying connected. Here I'm making a choice that staying connected to the active presence of love is more important than any of the garbage or stuff that I carry around with me. And then I'm willing to be in that space and be connected to that love. Your sister is younger than you, right?
Yeah, she's 8.
And you are?
I'm 10 years old.
10. Do you remember when she was born? You were 2, that was pretty early.
No. Yeah, I was only 2. I do remember I was really excited to have a little sister.
Were you? Do you remember ever holding her? So if you think...
Am I holding her?
Go ahead.
More of just, hugging her.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit, too young to actually, know how to hold her, like a baby, but it was, I just loved being a big sister.
Cool. So that's the love. That's the energy. That's who your little sister is, and that's who you really are. And so the idea of this step is to recognize, that presence of love is who I am now. Oftentimes the world will try to knock that out of you. Remember always that that's who you are. And that's the idea of this step in number 9. And of course I breathe that in, that I'm a loving person and I want to feel my love instead of this upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then in number 10, document how you're feeling. What's happening for you?
Well,
is it the smiley face or is it the sad face?
Yeah, it's the smiley face. Sometimes when I'm doing these worksheets, I draw a neutral face, normal, just it's better, but not great. But
I'm not
right
all
now,
the way yet.
Yeah, right now it's a definite smiley face.
Cool. Nice. So you could just put that smiley face in that square beside it and make a nice big one be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so notice that this situation that brought anger up in you has a gift for you, and that's a smiley face. When you choose to be responsible for your anger and let go of your anger, and you've just processed out a whole layer of that mad part of your mind that you don't need. It will never serve you. It will never tell you the truth. It will never guide you rightly. And so step 11 is to acknowledge the gift that this is. So I see the love in you, number 2, and that's going back to the email situation in the spam box. And when you do a worksheet on something like this is an inanimate object, an inbox, in a computer program. When you do it on yourself or on an inanimate object like that, if I get up in the middle of the night and stub my toe on a chair, I may want to destroy the chair. That would be a worksheet on anger toward a chair. So when I do one on an inanimate object or myself, I talk to it or I talk to myself as though I were a third person. So in this case, I see the love in you, the gift that you've given me, email going over into spam, and I'm willing to, and here you set a loving goal in regard to that. And the loving goal might be, I'm going to remember just, regularly to check my spam box so that I don't set myself up for this again.
And at the end of the day, I find the overdue books, bring them to the library, tell a story to the librarian, and I go home without having to pay any money.
Okay, so notice your focus is still about paying money.
Yeah.
So if you're focused, remember that focusing is a creative act. So if I focus on paying money, what am I likely to end up having to do?
Pay money.
Pay money, you got it. So how could I word that to achieve the result that I really want? And what is the result that I really want? Rather than the result I want to avoid, what's the result I really want?
The result I really want is for the books to go back to the library and for my email to sort things properly from now on.
Right. But then in terms of the paying money part, what I want to help you do is to correct your language on the paying money part, because when I focus on and what I really want is not to have to pay money, then I'm going to tend to create having to pay money. And so this last step might be more like, I get the books back to the librarian understands and tells me to let go of the debt.
Yeah.
And now I'm free and I still have my allowance.
Yay. I would
Yay.
have to have my mom. I would have to have my mom pay the money, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you being able to explain it to the librarian, and the librarian seeing it was just a mistake and say, I'll tell you what, dear, we'll just let that go.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Mhm.
Well, we'll hold the space if that's a possibility, and that's what you're able to create. And that's how forgiveness is done. So does that leave you with any questions?
I don't really think so. Like, what's the difference between like for the intermediate readers and like the easy readers and the adults? Like, is there anything different? Like, how is it like worded different? Like, is there anything that's missing from some of the other?
Well, no, it's just that it's a simplified version, so it doesn't go into as much detail in the earlier worksheets as it does in the later worksheets. Like, ultimately when you get to the adult worksheet, there's going to be a step in there where you cancel the goal. You actually write the goal in a space and you cancel the goal, and then you invite that power to go to work. So it's more detailed. We pretty much covered all the essential points. But, if you go to the 7-step wake-up sheet that we use, there's just more detail in it. And I pretty much squeezed the detail in so that you'd have all of the key ideas in this simpler worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that's meant to start. It's like you start doing math in school and you do 1 plus 1 and 1 plus 2 and 1 plus 3. You don't do 437 times 936. You have to develop some brain cells for that. And so the idea when Julie did this, and I don't know, Jeanie, is Julie happen to be with us? Maybe she'd want to share something. But when Julie did this, she was working, she was a kindergarten grade 1 teacher. And so she wanted to develop this to work with kids right from kindergarten on up. So the first worksheet is for the kindergarten kids. And then, grade 1 kids would work the second one, third one, fourth one as they build the brain cells. And building brain cells means I build into my mind an understanding of ideas that yesterday I didn't have any understanding of. Yeah. So that's the idea of building brain cells. And so hopefully we helped you to build some brain cells today. And you helped us to build some brain cells because I explained the process differently than I've ever explained it before. And so that little shift helps me to see things just a little bit differently and a little more completely. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Rory,
well,
this
go
will
for it,
be
sweetie.
one of our special shows that we put on, and I will send your mom the link so you'll be able to download it and re-listen to it. You can also play it to your friends or whatever, so it'll be there forever for you to go back to and re-listen. And I would just like to also say thank you because you all are the ones that introduced me to that little box that you use that you can draw the worksheets and that looks like an Etch-a-Sketch, and you put the worksheet in it, and you can use the colored pens and fill out the worksheets and then erase it. And that's just really cool, the neon lights and all that. And so I carry those on our table with us and sell them and tell people, this helps make it interesting for children to use. So you might want to also incorporate that board when you're teaching some of the other kids, too. They might think that's fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And we had a hand go up. And
okay,
I don't know if they might have a question for Rory. Julie's not on there, but let's see. Does 901 have a question for Rory? Area code 901?
$901, you're on the air. Give us a name. Where are you calling from? Okay, it looks like we lost 901.
Okay. Thank you for being with us, Rory. This was awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It's really fabulous, and any support we can be, perhaps, I don't know if they have the technology, but, perhaps we could even work with you in the classroom from if we can get a remote connection and talk about the process once you teach it. And if there are any questions, we'll be glad to help you answer them. Or if you call into the show again, we'll be glad to have you ask the questions and we'll answer them.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll call you during class sometime. I have a couple, I can FaceTime you or Skype you or something because I have a couple of questions to ask you.
Cool. Well, we've got a few minutes left. If you've got some questions to ask, we can go for it right now.
It's easier for me to do it privately.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, and remember that, the invitation is still there if you decide to do it, to come and do an intensive with us this summer as our guest. And if that doesn't work for this summer, then the invitation will be open for next summer, because we want to really support you 100% in your purpose in teaching. So we're honored and delighted to be playing with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, sweetie. Have a blessed one. Lots of love. Give your mom a hug for us, and your dad too.
Okay.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So cool. So powerful.
I did have someone ask a question and said, would it be, and Rory's already gone, but would there be a better positive second goal? Because by saying letting go of the debt, the focus is still on the debt, even though you're saying letting go of it. Just that it's, she's free to go.
Could work. And the debt is part of the situation, so it's not necessary to ignore that it's there. It's just what you're going to do with it. And, of course, forgiveness is about letting go. But, yeah, you could go to another level with that, too. Good thought. All right. Well, we've got about, I think, 6 or 7 minutes left, so let's see if there's anybody in the chat room with a question for us, or anybody in the phone.
There is. Nobody has a hand up, but in the chat room earlier, and they asked the question, but it was right near Dr. Tim had someone else go until the end of the show, so he didn't get to address it. And they were wanting to know your perspective on that hopoponopono, or however you say it. Yeah. And what's your perspective on that?
Okay. So, as I understand it, the way that Ho'oponopono was originally practiced is very much in alignment with Aramaic forgiveness. Having spent time in Hawaii with some native Hawaiians, I believe that the Hawaiians are Aramaic in their roots. I believe they may be one of the lost 12 tribes, and that they were scattered to the Hawaiian Islands. In particular, the word aloha is pretty much identical in its definition to the Aramaic word which you've heard us speak of, which is rakma. It's a filter in the frontal lobes of the brain that is a gateway for human life to enter the human form, and it's a filter that filters out intentions based in negativity and destructive energy. And it's interesting, when the Hawaiians greet each other, they greet forehead to forehead, rakma to rakma, aloha to aloha, and they breathe together, breathing each other's nasal air. And aloha has to do with, I greet you in that condition of love. I greet you by saying hello to you in that condition of love, and I greet you by saying goodbye to you in that condition of love. And the way that the Ho'oponopono was taught in the West now, I believe, is somewhat off base. And it has the phrases, I'm sorry. We suggest that you never say you're sorry, because everything you do is a creative act. And when I say I'm sorry, I stepped on your toe. I'm sorry for stepping on your toe. So now your mind is focused on your toe being stepped on. My mind is focused on it. What's that energy likely to do in the future but bring about more of the same? Rather than I'm sorry, we suggest that the verbiage you use is, I apologize. I was off base. I stepped on your toe. That was a big mistake, and I apologize for that. And then you focus in on a conversation about what you're going to do in the future. So I apologize for stepping on your toe, and in the future, I'll make sure that I'm aware of where your feet are and keep them safe. So we suggest an apology tool instead of I'm sorry. Another is I forgive you. Well, forgiveness has nothing to do with I'm going to let you off the hook for what you've done to me. That Greek idea of forgiveness has been substituted for the original Aramaic idea of forgiveness. And so we would suggest that you never forgive anyone ever again, and you never forgive yourself for anything. However, if you're in some form of hostility or fear, you apply forgiveness inside of yourself to remove that hostility or fear. So rather than I forgive you, would be ownership of I realize that there's some form of hostility or fear in me, and I'm going to reach in, I'm going to be responsible for that, reach inside myself and let go of that. And then the next is I understand it is I love you. And we're going to offer that. You know, we're mistaken in this culture if we think we can love anybody. Love is not a verb. Love is a noun. It's a state of being. It's who we are. If you've ever held a newborn child and you tap into the essence of that newborn, you know, 99.9% of people, when we ask that question, we've asked it of tens of thousands of people, go back to the moment where you first held your newborn, and all of a sudden this smile comes across people's faces. When we ask them to describe the newborn, what they say to us is the newborn is love. And then I ask the question, now, is the newborn loving you? Is it something newborn is doing, or is it something newborn is? Clearly, when you tap into the essence of the newborn, they're not loving you, they are love. And so what's happened in this culture is we've had the word love turned into a verb, when in fact it's a noun that describes a state of being. And so I choose to be love in your presence would be a more accurate thing than I love you. And when I try to, quote unquote, love you, that is, you know, have good feelings toward you or whatever, if you're a person who comes along and resonates my hostility or fear, it's going to be pretty tough for me to do. But if you come along and resonate my hostility or fear, and I recognize that I am love and I effort keeping love present while I process through my hostility or fear, I've done something that's achievable. And so that would be my take, is there are some shifts that need to be made. And we're down to the last few seconds, so I'm going to just say thank you, everybody, for joining us. And in particular, Rory, that was awesome. And we invite everybody to have the best year